Okay, hi everyone. So today we will be unpacking the Haney test with Liz Haney. Liz is a soil and ecosystem scientist, co-developer of the Haney soil test with her husband Rick Haney, and a lover of tool. She is also the co-owner of Soil Regen, which was designed to provide farmers with big picture education on soil health and on the ground agronomics. We met Liz when we attended Soil Region's big soil health event a few years back, and then again at their Beyond the Yield event. Her community of farmers and just network at Soil Regen and Regen Ag Lab have really been the catalyst for our growth of community and knowledge. And we're really grateful to have her expertise and friendship throughout this crazy journey. So without further ado, give you Liz Haney.
Hi, thank you for having me. Let's see if I can switch. Okay, so I'm going to talk about the Haney test. I'll briefly give you a background on how it was developed. My husband, Rick Haney, was a farmhand most of his life and saw that farmers weren't in control of a lot of things on their operations, like commodity prices, fertilizer, inputs, and obviously the weather. So he went back to school and tried to figure out a way to help his farmers be more profitable and the people that he worked for and cared for. Throughout this process, the Haney test was developed. And it was originally developed for fertility recommendations, but then moved in to the soil health space as we all became more aware of soil health over the past 20 years. Not saying other people didn't know about it already, but measuring soil health is what I should say. So the way that current soil testing works in traditional laboratories is that the soil is treated as a non-living, non-integrated system. The laboratories use harsh chemical extracts. The way that we test the soil in conventional systems or traditional soil testing focuses on physical and chemical and not biological. So we were taught in school to really focus on that chemical aspect, which I think stems from the reductionist thinking from, basically the Industrial Revolution and post-World War II fertilizer production. Most of the soil extracts that are currently used were developed between 1945 and say 1984. So what we do is focus on trying to mimic the natural system in the soil through soil testing. So we're trying to mimic how the soil responds after a rainfall in the field and not how it responds to 30 to 60-year-old laboratory methods. The way we do this is using different extracts. So we use a water extract to extract a lot of different components in the soil, which I'll talk about a little bit more in a second. And we also use H3A, which is oxalic, citric, and malic acid. It was designed to mimic plant root exudates. The important part about H3A is that it's not buffered. It takes on the pH of the soil, so we're not disturbing that natural system as much in the laboratory when we're measuring it. And also that we're trying to really see what the plant sees when it dumps out plant root exudates, so we know it's actually plant available. A big component of nutrient cycling in the soil is due to the drying and re-wetting effect of the soil. So it rains, the soil gets wet up, it dries out, things slow down, and then it rains again. And when it rains again, you'll notice that plants turn greener, and that's due to the release of nitrogen and phosphorus, and not just because the water has been applied to the soil. Further, the reason that the plants green up is because that water has activated the microbial community. They start ramping up their population, and in turn, they're the ones releasing the nitrogen and phosphorus and other minerals. And so that's what we really want to focus on when we're measuring and testing soils. The basis for this is that the soil is an incredibly dynamic living system Again, we're looking at it from a holistic and biological perspective instead of just a solely physical and chemical perspective. Excuse me. So a foundation of this is that soil microbes require organic carbon compounds for growth and energy. They take in oxygen and give off CO2. And that CO2 release is coupled with energy production, nutrient cycling, and microbial growth. Microbes cannot exist in like highly compacted systems or flooded systems where oxygen is not available, and they won't cycle nutrients as readily. So this is how we can see how the microbes are responding to field conditions. And the way we measure that is with an infrared gas analyzer. We take soil, put it in a cup. The bottom part of the cup, the little plastic cup that's inside these jars, if you can see this, they're mason jars, but there's a plastic cup inside there. It's got soil in it. There's a little filter on the bottom, and there's holes in the bottom of that plastic cup. So we apply water, and the soil naturally re-wets through capillary action to field moist conditions. So it's representing what happens after a rainfall. We then capture the carbon dioxide production that happens over 24 hours. And that carbon dioxide production is directly related to microbial activity and in turn, nutrient cycling. I can go more into biological production and what the CO2 values mean on our next session, but know that the more CO2 that's respired out of the soil, the more active the microbiology is, and generally the healthier the soil is. The other way we use water, and it's not in the same jar, but we extract the soil with water and we measure total nitrogen. And then we take that and measure it again and measure organic nitrogen and water extractable organic carbon. And a little bit about why water extractable organic carbon is important is because most traditional laboratories measure the house that the microbes live in, which would be the total soil organic matter. So that's your bigger pool that you traditionally see on a standard test, whether you have 2%, 1%, hopefully not, but up to 7%, 8% organic matter. We're looking at a smaller, much smaller portion, the water extractable portion, because that's the part that microbes see. It's in solution, and they chew on that and release phosphorus and nitrogen and other minerals that are associated with that water extractable pool. I mentioned that we measure organic nitrogen. Traditional laboratories, if they do measure it at all, only measure nitrate nitrogen. We measure nitrate nitrogen, ammonium nitrogen, and organic nitrogen. And we found over many, many, many years that in general, we're missing about half of the nitrogen that's actually plant available when we don't account for this organic nitrogen pool. On average, we see, if we're just measuring the 0 to 6 inch of the soil, an additional 30 pounds of nitrogen available that's readily available to the plant, and the plants prefer to take up that type of nitrogen. The Haney test is also different in the way that we measure phosphorus. You need to find out from your laboratory the way that they extract the soil, because it changes the phosphorus results tremendously. An example is that Malic 3 is marketed as a universal extractant. It has a pH of 2.5. When you add it to the soil, the Malic 3 extract, it can solubilize calcium phosphates, iron and aluminum phosphates that may not be readily plant available. So we use H3A and get out as much less harsh and get out what the plants are actually going to see there in their root zone, what's available to them. And it might be less or more than what the other tests say. But what we're trying to do again is mimic what happens when you have a living root in the ground, corn plant, or whatever, and how much nutrients they can take up. So those were just some basics on the differences between, some major differences between standard extracts and the Haney test extracts. But I'll go into a little bit, why would you want to use the Haney test and when. You really need to realize what your goal is. You can reduce your input costs. You can be more efficient with your fertility management plans. You can get fertility recs, and you can also monitor microbial community health. But what we recommend is that you build a testing program, be consistent, and be adaptable as your goals change. If you want to do fertility testing, then you can pull samples a few weeks before, 3 weeks, 2 weeks before you're going to apply fertilizer and get fertility recs. You can do it mid-season when you're about to top dress. If you're interested in monitoring the changes in your practices and seeing how it's affecting soil biology, seeing if you're improving soil health, you can take samples about the same time every year. So that would be the same temperature and moisture during like spring. If you have a really, really cold spring and you had a really warm spring the year before, don't take them on the same date. Take them at the same conditions. And that way you can see year over year, okay, I reduced tillage by 3 passes. I can see that respiration's improving over a few years and that I'm improving my soil health. Common questions that I get about testing is what temperature to pull a soil sample. We generally like the soil to be over 50 degrees Fahrenheit. If you're in a colder climate and you're in a rush, you can take it at colder temperatures. Just note that the colder the soil, the lower the respiration is going to be. And so you need to make a note of that, and we can talk about that and work that into our interpretations. How long can you save a soil sample after you take it? If you're just doing the Haney test, you can save it for quite a while. I recommend shipping it off as soon as possible so you can get the information back. But don't leave it laying on the dash of your truck where it gets really hot, or in some sort of like frozen condition. And you don't have to freeze them. You don't have to put them on ice. If you are taking soil samples over a long period of time, you can stick them in your refrigerator and save them and send them all in at one time. But just think about the kind of conditions that you would want to sit in. The microbes want something similar. So a nice climate, not too hot, not too cold, because it'll alter the results. When we meet again, we'll talk about what each of the components of the soil test mean. We'll go through some results, and we'll go further into what the soil health calculation is and what it means. And then I might also hit on other ways that we can measure soil health, because the Haney test is not the end all be all. It is just one important part of measuring the soil and your management practices and assessing where you need to be and what your fertility is like. An example of some other tests that you could use would be PLFA, which is a phospholipid fatty acid test. You can do a Haney test to see what your activity is, but the PLFA can show you a general breakdown of how much bacteria you have, how much fungi you have, what those ratios are, whether you have any arbuscular mycorrhizal fungi, which everybody wants to have in their soil, whether you have protozoa in there. So you can get some additional good information on that. One thing I wanted to mention is that soil testing is not the end all be all. A lot of my growers use tissue testing throughout the growing season, especially if they're doing foliar applications. But we're all working to learn about new ways that plants and soil and microbes interact. And so this is an example of something that you can't do really on a farm by farm basis, but just know that when we're working with the Haney test or any other test developments, we're all learning from other scientists and learning how the plants are interacting with the microbes. So an example of this is some work that Dr. James White did with in-soil algae. He put algae, applied it, and it promoted root growth hairs. Well, that's great. So what does that mean and why? Well, the control root hair wasn't taking up as many bacteria or nutrients. And what he found was that the in-soil algae was actually, the algae was being sucked up into the root tip, and there were bacteria inside of it, and the plant was super oxidizing that and taking out and using nitrogen from that. And so it's really good to have a context of what your results mean based on what you know about your field, what your climatic conditions are. Everybody's different, but just know that even if you're soil testing or tissue testing or anything, we don't know everything that's happening. It's a holistic and like I said, incredibly complex dynamic system. So please utilize us and the people at InSoil and anybody else, you know, farmers that you know that have used the test to try and learn what it means to them on their operation. And then when we meet again, we'll go into some nitty gritty on the differences we see between conventional systems and regenerative systems, and how that looks on a soil test. And then also go into all the different components and what that means to you.
Thank you so much, Liz. Yes, it's very complex, but the Haney test is a great way to understand what's going on under there, under the hood. So yeah, we hope all of you can join us on Thursday to get into the nitty gritty of this. And thanks again, Liz.
Thank you.